You have entered the outlet.
Welcome to the outlet.
Your tech and entertainment connect.
I want to talk about focus.
Where we spotlight blacks in STEM.
Hi, Shiro. Give me some energy, ma'am.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
It's the real deal.
Our entrepreneurs.
You ready?
Tech and entertainment news.
Doing my own talk show.
The entertainment industry. Behind the scenes and all things in between.
And it's nothing but the truth.
Get ready to be enlightened, get inspired. Now your host, DJ Kei-Touch.
Welcome to the outlet with Kei-Touch. Yes, I'm so excited today. Blacks in Tech on the outlet with Kei-Touch. We have Mr. Greg Greenlee, founder of Blacks in Technology, and Dennis Schultz, executive director of the Blacks in Technology Foundation. Gentlemen, welcome to the outlet with Kei-Touch.
Hey, Kei, thank you for having us. Really excited to talk about all the good things we got going on.
Yes. So who was that, Greg speaking?
That was Dennis.
That was Dennis. All right, Greg.
Yeah. Thank you. Definitely appreciate the opportunity and ready to get down and start talking about Blacks in Technology.
Yes, blacksintechnology.net, BITCON.blacksintechnology.net. Greg, what led you to establish Blacks in Technology?
Yeah, so I guess back around 2008, 2009. It was end of 2008 going into 2009 is when Blacks in Technology was founded. But a few years prior to that, I'd been attending a lot of different technology conferences, and at the time it was InfoSec, information security conferences, aka hacker conferences. And just going to a lot of these conferences with some of the local people I had met through tech, and just noticing not a lot of representation of Black people either as attendees or as speakers. And I just felt that we were missing out on some of the opportunities at these conferences. So you go to these conferences, and a lot of conferences I was going to at the time were free conferences. And so I'd go there, you'd have all these booths with all these vendors set up, and they'd be giving away free stuff. They'd be looking for talent. You'd have all these extraordinary talks, people, subject matter experts talking about different aspects of technology. So you had all this free knowledge being shared. And then on top of that, you had all the networking opportunities. And so when I would go, I would see maybe a handful of Black people, 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 at the most. And I was always wondering, how come we're not in these spaces? And at the time, I was kind of green around, what the disparities were in technology when it comes to inclusion and equity and diversity. And so I was just kind of really looking for a way to bring us all together as a community to kind of tackle that issue. How can we become more aware of these conferences that are going on? How can we meet up? How can we share knowledge? How can we help each other in our careers and in our journeys in the technology industry? And that's when I came up with the idea for Blacks in Technology.
That's amazing. And you know what I admire the most about you, Greg? It's the fact that you saw a gap and you bridged it. You became part of the solution when you saw the problem. You established Blacks in Technology. That's blacksintechnology.net to help bridge that gap. Tell us a little bit about the mission of Blacks in Tech. I know you said you wanted to bring Blacks in technology together and not miss out on opportunities and conferences. But tell us a little bit about the mission of Blacks in Tech.
So our mission is to increase the representation and participation of Black people in tech. And that's from all aspects of technology. So, whether or not, you're working as an engineer or you're working, in marketing, but in the technology industry, and also just from an image standpoint. And what I mean by that is I want Black people to be seen as subject matter experts, and not from the outside, not from, other races and other ethnicities, but from, within our own community. We need to see Black people in these positions as engineers and as technologists and working at these really high-tech companies like Google or Amazon, and we need to establish that image for our community. So when I talk about participation or representation, I'm not just talking about being an employee in tech. I'm talking about being, innovators and creators. I'm talking about, media being us being portrayed in a positive light. I'm talking about, having these positive stories and understanding what our journeys are and building, this community.
I love it. Look, we're talking to Greg Greenlee, founder of Blacks in Technology. One thing I love about Blacks in Technology is you talk about stomping the divide. The divide. Do you want to speak on that, or should Dennis?
I'll talk about that.
Okay.
And, for one, I got to give credit to a friend of mine, Wavell. He's actually in Cal, Texas, which is outside of Austin, for coming up with that tagline. And, at the time, it's funny because my friend Wavell, he's always talking about powerful statements, right? Like, that's powerful. And so stomping the divide was one of these powerful statements that he came up with, that we ran with, simply because, and I know, people can say, oh, it's just semantics. But when I think about, kind of towards the beginning of, the building the awareness of Black people in tech, you always heard about bridging the digital divide. Mm-hmm. And I was like, thinking about it, like, hey, I don't want to bridge. Like, I don't want there to be one side and another side. Like, it shouldn't be, divided at all. And even with the bridge, you still are talking about one side crossing over to the other side. I want to stop. I want to obliterate that divide. I don't want there to be a divide. And I feel as long as, organizations like ours and other organizations that have similar missions to ours, as long as we do what what our missions are, and we continue striving and aspiring to stomp that divide, I want there to be a time where Blacks in Technology as an organization no longer needs to exist, right? That's the kind of nirvana for me, is we don't have to exist because everything is on a fair and even playing field. And that's what I mean by stomping the divide, just getting rid of it, period, obliterating it.
Obliterating the divide, stomping the divide. That's what Blacks in Tech is all about. BlacksInTechnology.net. Dennis!
What's good?
Dennis, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Blacks in Technology, BlacksInTechnology.net, and what it means to you to be a part of such a powerful organization, let alone executive director to the Blacks in Tech Foundation.
Wow. I'll try to do this as succinctly as possible, but in short, like Greg, I was looking for ways to connect and put more Black people into tech spaces. I've been in IT or in the IT industry now for, I'll just say, more than 20 years.
Okay.
But most of the companies I worked with were the major brands, so companies like Dell and Lenovo and Samsung. And one of the things that I noticed is that there weren't too many people who looked like me, which is a common story for most Black folks in major tech companies. You're not going to see many people not only in your company or in your division or on your team, but also at the customers you visit. So I was just Googling, and I came across Blacks in Technology. And at the time I was looking, I realized that they actually had a conference coming up, and this is back in 2018. So I decided, you know what, this sounds like something that I'd like to be a part of. Ended up going to Minnesota in October, of all places, because that's where Greg decided to have his first conference. Or actually, I think I was at the second conference. The beautiful thing about it was there were all kinds of Black people doing technical things and having technical conversations and talking nerdy stuff, and I felt right at home. So I was like, I found my people. This is my tribe. And at the time, I was living in the New York City area, and there wasn't a chapter established in New York. So I asked Greg if there was any way I could assist, and I ended up launching or developing a New York City chapter for Blacks in Technology. And then from there, I've just stayed with the organization. So I've been with Blacks in Technology now for about 5 years.
Wow. And what does it mean to be the executive director of this foundation?
Yeah, so the foundation is special. So what we do, and let me just preface it by saying it's free to join Blacks in Technology. If you're listening and you think you might want to do something related to technology or you are in the IT industry, you should join because there are free resources available for anybody who participates, whether they're already in their profession looking to upskill or if they're looking to onboard, find an entryway into tech. We have over 20,000 members globally. We are in 17 countries now. Wow. And have over 60 chapters. So the things that we do basically complement the mission that Greg mentioned earlier. So the programs that we have are programs with the best of the best in the technology space. So we work with organizations like Coursera and Google and Meta and Amazon to provide not only those technical resources, but also soft skill resources, things like mentorship and job coaching and, anything related to helping somebody get paid in tech.
Wow. That's just amazing. Again, we are talking to Greg Greenlee, founder of Blacks in Technology, and Dennis Schultz, executive director of Blacks in Technology Foundation. Greg, what changes have you seen with diversity, equity, and inclusion since you founded Blacks in Technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I want to say that, there's still a lot of work to do. But what I have seen is this overall awareness that has risen since starting. I could count probably on a couple of, on two fingers at the time of the organizations that I knew that were doing anything with Black people in technology when I first started BIT. And now there's a slew of them out there. And I think that you'll see, also in the media, the portrayal of Black people as far as technologists and engineers, that's risen as well. What hasn't gotten better, well, I shouldn't say it hasn't gotten better, but I think there's still a lot of work to do around just overall employment of Black people in tech, especially at some of these high-profile companies. And I just think that there's still a lot of work to do on the side of diversity, equity, and inclusion overall. But I have seen a lot of companies and organizations working to dedicate themselves to increasing diversity and inclusion and working with these various different organizations and putting, their money where their mouth is. And now it's just all about doing the other things as well, such as hiring and providing, fair and equitable opportunities to Black people in tech.
Yes, well, it's good to see that some of the divide is diminishing, some of it, but it's more work to do, wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
More work to do. And Blacks in Technology, blacksintechnology.net are doing great things. They have chapters, would you say 60 plus chapters or 60 chapters?
I think we're close to 70, but at least 65. Wow. I haven't actually done the last count.
At least 65 chapters, and this is globally. Blacks in Technology, stomping the divide. And what is important is tech is in everything we do. Everything we do. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there is some technology that you have to use. I mean, you need technology to use your phone, access apps, do your banking. You need technology in medicine. There's technology in every part of our lives, every part of our lives. Blacks in Technology is stomping the divide. I love it. I love it. Look, it's the Outlet with Kei-Touch. We are here with Mr. Greg Greenlee, founder of Blacks in Technology, and Dennis Schultz, executive director of Blacks in Technology Foundation. On the other side, we're going to talk about some of the initiatives that Blacks in Technology has. And we're going to talk about some of the chapters they have that are in the DMV area. And we're going to also get into BITCON 2022. It's the Outlet with Kei-Touch. Only the best of the best. I attest Blacks in Tech on the Outlet. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Outlet with Kei-Touch. So excited to have Blacks in Tech, Blacks in Technology on the Outlet. Yes, so I just wanted to talk about the importance of Black people knowing their contributions and to technology and their innovations. And I think that really changes how we view ourselves as far as being producers, so to speak, versus consumers when it comes to technology. And just off the top of my head, one of the inventions, the laser phaco probe, was created by Dr. Patricia Bath. And this is the device they use to remove cataracts. And Marie Van Brittan Brown, the inventor of the home security alarm system. So, Greg, I want you to speak to me about the importance of us knowing our innovations and how that relates to us stomping the divide.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, of utmost importance that we understand our contributions to technology over the decades. We had the movie Hidden Figures, which shed a lot of light on the women who were part of the mission to the moon, right? And had that movie not come out, like that, a lot of people would not have known that. And then on top of that, like, you have to understand, like, imagery really influences how we think and how we view ourselves. And when you have those positive images and when you have those Black faces, and you can relate just from the tone of our skin, I can relate to you because I know that based on that you probably have a lot of commonalities to my background, what I've went through, and not only that, now I can see what I can aspire to be, right? And so at Blacks in Technology, we try to make sure that we provide a platform to shed light on our community and the people doing amazing work, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're people that are working in the technology industry as engineers, as CEOs, CTOs, what have you. We do articles, we do podcasts, we do videos, and we really try to shed light on the different people within our community so that they can see and they can relate to people that look, walk, talk like them, right? We're running a campaign right now called See Us, See Yourself. And that campaign actually highlights the non-tech aspects of Black people in tech, right? Because, you come to our site, you see all the people that are working in tech, but we're not a monolith. And there are a lot of different interests and hobbies and things like that other people can relate to that comprises us as technology people, right? So, for instance, myself, I'm an engineer, but I also love sports. I also love hip hop. I also collect comic books. I like exercising. I like dressing. I like fashion, right? So those non-tech things, another person can see and they can relate. And in that, we can find that bond as well, not just technology, but those other things. And so we highlight those things so people can see that, hey, we not only do tech, we're not only engineers, and what some people may call nerds or geeks or whatever, but we also do this. We're painters, we're actors, we're musicians. We love crafts. We do all these other things as well. And I think that helps to paint the entire narrative of who we are, and not just put us in a box as some quote unquote geek, right? And then on top of that, I always like to say, it's not the word nerd or geek that makes us. We make that. Who we are as a whole. The word doesn't dictate who we are. We dictate what that word is. So if you want to call me a nerd or a geek or what have you, but and I still go and I'll listen to Jay-Z, and I'll still get out there and bust you on a hoop court, then so be it. But then you can say you got busted by a nerd, right?
But I mean, the thing is, Greg, and I'm glad you brought that up, and that's one thing we have to change our mindset on. It's cool to be smart. It's cool to be a nerd. And the kids that were like nerds in school, they're paid now.
Yeah, you know what I like to say about that is, and you're 100% right. And a friend of mine, the same gentleman, Wavell, we were talking one day about branding and our brand. And our brand are Black technologists, Black engineers, what have you. That's our brand, and we have to protect that.
Yeah.
And we can't allow other people to dictate who we are as Black technologists. We can't allow other people to run with narratives that aren't particularly positive. And a lot of, magazines, I shouldn't say a lot, but some magazines like to do that. They like to paint this narrative that, every, Black person in tech comes from this downtrodden background or what have you. And that's, not true at all. And we have to protect our brand. We have to protect who we are. So that's why Blacks in Technology provides that platform, because I feel like we're protectors of our community and of our brand.
Hey, Greg, can I add something to that real quick? So one of the things that we're doing on the foundation side is we're sponsoring a concept for a television series. It's called NORK, N-O-R-K. And that concept trailer is out on YouTube right now. If you search YouTube for NORK, N-O-R-K 2022, you'll find it. But basically, it gives you an insight into what it's like to be a young Black entrepreneur in a city trying to make your way in tech. And it's not the typical story. So it's a dramedy. It's actually a cross between Insecure, if you like the show Insecure, shout out to Greg, in Atlanta, and Silicon Valley. So we provide the techie piece, a little bit of comedy, but it's really a drama, and it shows us in a light that is positive and encouraging for the next generation.
Look at this. Blacks in Tech, Blacks in Technology Foundation. They have a TV concept trailer. I love it. I found it on YouTube too, so I have to check that out. I love it.
Yeah, please do.
And this is important. And I wanted to go back real quick to the youth. And we were talking about geeks and nerds. And I've had some teenagers in the studio with this young man that they were working with. He was doing some initiatives, and they looked bored. I started talking about Black innovations, and they lit up. And I said, wow, this is powerful. When you communicate to the youth that people that look like them, that lived either at a different time or went through things more difficult than they did or are, and have achieved certain accomplishments, it changes how they look at themselves. So my question to you is, what are we doing to engage our Black youth in tech?
You want to answer that, Dennis? You can talk about some of the programs with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things is visibility and letting people know what's available to them and what's accessible. I think a lot of the resistance and a lot of reasons people shy away from technology is because, they think it's hard, or they think you have to have advanced math skills, or you have to be this computer genius. And that's not the case. I'm living proof. I did not make it through calculus at Virginia Tech. I made it through on the skin of my teeth to graduate, but now I'm in a situation where I don't work very hard, quote unquote, and I do pretty well. I make good money. So the reality of the situation is you don't have to just be an entertainer. You don't have to do anything illegal in order to make the type of money that you think a successful person would make. And it doesn't take a lot to do it. So one of the things that we've done is start evangelizing to youth at an early age, high school age. There are programs that you can get into, even in high school, where you can get technical certifications that could potentially land you a job, as opposed to work in retail or food service. You could be working for a tech company as an intern, making good money, working in the office. So when you do graduate, you have the option of either going for an advanced education degree or going right from high school into the workforce in a technical role, making good money. So I think the programs that we currently have and the resources that we wrap around those services, including the mentorship program, including the job coaching programs, I think those are the things that are going to ultimately change the direction of how people think when they think technology, especially for young kids.
I love it. I love it. Go ahead.
Back up to that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of want to give a little bit of, my background and also kind of how I approach this topic when I speak to, students. So,
Okay.
My dad bought me a computer when I was 12 years old, and I started getting into programming and things like that. My computer broke, and I kind of got out of tech and everything, but it was still on my mind. It was still an interest of mine. I worked a lot of dead end jobs, a lot of odd jobs and things like that, and I didn't get back into tech until probably my late 20s, right? And at that, I didn't get back into it until my late 20s. I did music. I did hip hop music for a number of years as well, and then I got back into tech. I went back to school, and I got my degree. And a lot of the stuff at that time when I got back into tech was self-taught. Just reading books, because I worked at a computer retailer, and so I was able to get books at a discount, some of them for free. And so I self-taught myself, right? So only a high school diploma at the time, some college, but I self-taught myself and got into the industry. Worked on a help desk for a number of years. Went from help desk to a network administrator's job, from a network administrator to a systems engineer to a DevOps engineer. Now I'm a principal DevOps engineer. So when I go into these classes and I talk to younger people, either high schoolers, and I've talked to and mentored all types of people, all ages, or college students, or people just entering the technology field or trying to get into the technology field. One of the first things I do is I write my salary up on the wall, up on the board, and I don't even tell them what that number represents. I just ask them, "Hey, do you know what this number is?" Some of them get it right on the first try, but a lot of them don't. And I tell them that this is the amount of money that I make, right? And I'm not a 4-year degree or master's degree or supercomputer scientist or anything like that. I'm just a guy that decided that I wanted to, get into tech, self-taught a lot of the stuff. I actually went back to college and got a 2-year degree, but I kept on that grind of wanting to learn, and I worked my way up through the ranks. And now this is what I make. I'm able to take care of my family. I own a number of properties. I own a number of cars. I own a house.
Wow.
That type of thing. And I'm able to not only just help my immediate family, my son, my daughter, my wife, but I'm able to help, other family members too when they're in need. Right. So it's technology has provided me an opportunity to create generational wealth for myself, to help other people in my family. And when young people are able to see that type of thing, that's when their eyes really light up and they say, oh, okay, well, if you can do it, you come from where I come from, you like the same things that I like, you may even dress similar. Of course, I'm older, so I'm not going to dress exactly like you.
No.
But I still try to dress fly, right? And they see that, then they can relate and say, okay, well, I can do that as well.
I love
Now,
it.
I think Greg in his gear. I can attest he does not wear the skinny jeans, but he is fly. What I would
Hold
like
on,
to
Dennis.
add to that,
We have to take a quick break. Look.
Okay. Well, on the break back, I definitely have a follow up to that comment though.
Oh, most definitely. Look, it's the Outlet with Kei-Touch. We have Blacks in Tech on the Outlet. Only the best of the best. I attest Greg Greenlee, founder, Blacks in Technology. Dennis Schultz, executive director of Blacks in Technology Foundation. Look, it's the Outlet with Kei-Touch. This is a whole nother level type things. We're talking about building generational wealth in the tech field. We cannot get left behind. That's why Blacks in Technology is stomping the divide. It's the Outlet with Kei-Touch. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Outlet with Kei-Touch. I'm so excited we are talking to Blacks in Technology. We have Greg Greenlee, the founder, and we also have Mr. Dennis Schultz. He's the executive director of Blacks in Technology Foundation. And we're going to get into BITCON, but Dennis, you wanted to follow up on the comment that Greg made?
Yes, I just wanted to just talk really quick about the practicality of what Greg said. So I think when people realize that, there's people that look like them, come from where they come from in places that they never saw themselves in, they, think that it was either a fluke or it was luck. Greg got lucky. But we have programs specifically in place for people with little or no tech experience where you can sign up and within 4 to 6 months, you can either enter into a boot camp, either at a discount or for free, or you can do a self-paced learning class. So one of our programs is with Udacity, and Udacity allows you to get what they call a nano degree in a technical discipline. So you can learn like web development or digital marketing, a number of programming skills, and it's free. And we're working with not only Udacity, but a dozen other, programs just like that. And in addition to just getting into technical skills, because people say, well, if I get this, will people actually hire me? We're working with an organization called 110. And 110 is an organization that is dedicated to seeing 1 million African Americans into family sustainable wage jobs over the next 10 years.
Wow.
So by working with 110, what they're doing is they're leaning on these big companies, like Home Depot and others to say, look, we have these people that we're training up. If we provide them with the practitioner level skills to actually do the job, will you hire them? And they're saying yes. So they're re-credentialing their jobs to remove the 4-year degree requirements so people really have a fair shot at getting jobs at some of these major brands. So I just wanted to say the reality of the situation right now for people who really want to get it is there. They just have to, know where to go to get resources, and that's where we come in.
And that's what it's all about here on the Outlet with Kei-Touch in WOL 1450 and 95.9. Information is power. And one of the biggest gaps that we have as a people is sharing information, having a blueprint to get certain things done. But look, you have a blueprint right now. Go to blacksintechnology.net. Again, there is no fee to join. It is free. And this is exclusively for Black people. Blacksintechnology.net, information to share. We're talking about building generational wealth. Stomping the divide. I love it. Stomping the divide. So let's transition into BITCON 2022. BITCON 2022, which will be in Disney World, October 26th through 28th. Greg, tell me, when was the first BITCON?
Yeah, the first BITCON was happened in 2018 in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, so Minneapolis, St. Paul area. We had over 1,000 attendees there.
Wow.
We had all types of, great speakers. We had Senator Amy Klobuchar. We had the late great Nipsey Hussle. He was a panelist. We had the former CTO of Illinois speak. We had the former CEO of Best Buy, because one of the days of BITCON was held at Best Buy headquarters.
Wow.
And then we had just a lot of, anywhere from 50 to 60 speakers from the BIT community. And one of the key things I think is important about BITCON is that we are a technology conference. And I want to emphasize that because I don't want people to think that, you're a diversity conference. No, we're diversity by default, but BITCON is a technology conference. We talk about technology. I always like to say that when you come to BITCON, you're going to be able to leave with some type of nugget, right? You're going to be able to leave with something that can apply to, a business that you're starting, to your career, to your everyday job. Like, you're going to be leaving with something because the people who we have as speakers are subject matter experts in technology. So you're not going to come there. You're not going to say, hey, Silicon Valley is only 2% black, blah, 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 blah. We know that. So no preaching to the choir here. You're going to hear about, soft skills and technology as well as, some of the hardcore technology things. And then we're going to follow that up with the technology career fair, so you can candidates can get in front of a lot of these companies who are seeking diverse and talented people to join their workforce, right? And so, and then there's the networking opportunities there as well with other people in the community, which I think is one of the biggest draws of Blacks in Technology, not just BITCON, but Blacks in Technology as a platform.
That is just amazing. And Greg, I just want to ask you real quick, how surprised were you and amazed were you at how interested people were about participating in not just Blacks in technology, but also corporations wanted to help you stomp the divide?
Well, for one, this whole thing is surprising to me, to be honest. Like,
okay,
I mean the bit as a whole, the way that it's grown, and where it is now compared to where it was when I first started. It just amazes me all the time to see, all the people that are excited about the community and about the platform and everything like that. And it's even more so, when I see a lot of these big companies, coming and sponsoring us, and all the people that are donating money. Because when I first started Blacks in Technology, my whole thought was, if I get about 250 to 500 people to be involved in our community, our online community, then that's successful to me. That's where I was at that time. And now, like Dennis said, we're over 20,000 members. We're over 60-plus chapters in 17 countries. We have tons of sponsors, everybody from Amazon to Google, to Microsoft, so on and so forth, looking to not only raise that awareness, but provide the opportunities and the resources to upskill and to educate Black people in tech, or Black people in our community, so that they can get into tech. So at this point, I'm not as surprised anymore, but it's still, every day I kind of wake up and I'm just like, wow, like this is amazing. The work that we're doing is revolutionary, I feel.
It is, and I just have to do this real quick for both of you. Yes. Big round of applause. I mean, because so many people receive opportunities, receive information, and they keep it to themselves, or they just share it with a few of their friends. And Greg Greenlee decided, I need Blacks in Technology. I need a place so we can at least communicate and we can share information, and look at what it's become. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the great work you're doing. And I mean, I haven't even gotten into what you guys actually do. We're just talking about Blacks in Technology and BITCON and everything like that. And we said this is a tech conference. It's a technology conference, and we're not there to complain. We're solution oriented, correct? It's all about what's next, what we can do, what's trending, what's happening, and moving forward. And it's a hybrid experience, correct? You can be in person and online, or you have to be in person. How does that work?
No, this year is a hybrid. I'll let Dennis speak on BITCON 2022.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, Greg. I didn't mean to jump in there on you, but basically, it's going to be the main stage as a virtual experience. So you'll be able to see the keynote speakers, any of the major conversations on the panels. But we want people to get down to Orlando in person. So we're providing a lot of additional things outside of the main stage to entice people to come. So we have a metaverse demo area. We've got over 30 companies participating. So if you wanted to kind of get hands-on with VR, AR, it's going to be there at the conference. We have a pitch competition for entrepreneurs. You can potentially win up to $10,000 in what we consider pre-seed stage funding. So basically, if you have an idea and a concept, but you don't have the money from your friends and family to get it off the ground, position it. Maybe we give you $10,000 to go make a proof of concept. We also have a Madden contest. So anybody who's out there just playing Madden, we can give you some money too. The Madden tournament is it's a quarterly qualifier tournament. This qualifier is a third in the 4-quarter qualifier. You have the potential to win $5,000 ultimately. But if you make it to the qualifier, we'll fly you down to Orlando to play Madden with Shabata Mix, who is the self-proclaimed Madden god, who's going to be hosting that portion of the conference. So a lot of stuff going on in addition to the career fair that's going to be hosted by companies like Ally Bank and ADP and Disney and Microsoft and Google. I mean, we got Spotify. We are so excited to get people back in person because last year was virtual. The year before was the pandemic. We had to cancel. So now we're just really pumped to get people face-to-face again.
I love it. Again, we're talking about Blacks in Technology Conference 2022. That's bitcon.blacksintechnology.net. 45 days, 15 hours, 11 minutes and counting.
One other thing, Key, too. I have a discount code that I created specifically for this program. If you go and you want to receive a discount to participate in the conference, you can get a 40% off discount if you use code DMV. So use code DMV. Yep.
Yes, I love it. Code DMV for a 40% discount on BITCON 2022, October 26th through 28th. Walt Disney World, Coronado Springs Resort, Orlando, Florida. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, guys, this time has gone by so fast, but I want you both to give advice, words of wisdom to someone who may be at a crossroads, whether it's someone who just recently graduated from high school, recently graduated from college, recently haven't done anything, or they were part of the big resignation that occurred during the pandemic. Some words of wisdom, some advice each of you can share. Greg first.
So I want to start off by first saying thank you for the opportunity to allow us to come on the show, talk about Blacks in Technology and all the amazing things that we're doing. But what I would say is this. Technology is one of the only industries, probably up there with the medical industry, that didn't suffer like a lot of the other industries did during the pandemic. As a matter of fact, and I'm speaking only to the company that I work for, we actually were hiring like crazy during the pandemic. And so, if you are wanting to go into an industry that I wouldn't say it's foolproof, but during the economic downturns, and I've been through a couple of them. The one in 2008, and then of course the pandemic year. Technology just kept climbing, right? And that's because technology is not only the present, but it's, it's the future and beyond. So consider technology as a career choice. And if you are considering it and you're looking for direction, you're looking for guidance, come to blacksintechnology.net. Not only for the opportunities and the resources that we provide, but for the community, because that's, I feel, is one of our biggest draws is the community that we provide. So you're going to be able to come and you're going to be able to ask questions. You're going to be able to connect with people from all across the globe, and you're going to be able to receive that inspiration that you may need to continue on. I don't know how many emails that I get for people, just thanking me for the platform itself and saying, "Hey, thank you for starting this community. I was on an island by myself, and now I'm able to vibe with the people, that gets me, right? And I'm able to come in there and I can get, we have a Slack channel with over close to 9,000 people in the Slack channel. And sometimes people, they don't, they might not want to talk technology, but they might want to vent about something that happened at work. And so they come to us and they say, this happened. How can I deal with this? And the community is there. They're answering your questions. They're providing that type of guidance. So I would say, if tech is something that you're considering, then Blackson Technology is the place for you.
Wow, I appreciate that. Dennis, we have 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'll be brief. Basically, trust your gut. If you are not happy with your current situation, economic circumstances, if you think that you should be further along in your career than you are, it might be time for a pivot. And understand that it only takes a commitment of about 6 months, and jobs are there. And entry-level jobs in tech, and this is a generalization, but both for technical and non-technical roles, start around $70,000. So you can get, in some situations, exponentially more money by just taking a little time to invest in yourself. And we remove all the financial barriers to train. So where boot camps might cost anywhere between $1,500 to, $10,000, we provide scholarships and grants, so you don't have to pay that. You just have to want to work and have the access to internet and a computer. If you have that, we can help you. We'll get you there.
Look, gentlemen, again, I appreciate you both, and I have to do this one more time. I really appreciate you guys. This is truly an honor and a pleasure. And we also wanted to, do you have the information for the DC chapter, DMV chapter available now?
Sure. So if you join blacksintechnology.net, if you go to blacksintechnology.net and click on the nonprofit link at the top of the page, you can join, and it'll ask you for a chapter affiliation. And there are 2 chapters in the DMV. There's a DC chapter, and then there's also a Virginia chapter that covers Northern Virginia as well. So if you join, you'll get information around events locally and things that are going on in the DMV area.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I love what you're doing. Again, blacksintechnology.net, BITCON.blacksintechnology.net, BITCON 2022. It has truly been a pleasure. Look, it's the Outlet with Kei-Touch. Until next week, peace.